I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Hello everyone and welcome here to qualifying for race number 5 of Season 7 of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series, as we are here this evening under the lights at the Phoenix International Raceway. Drivers heading on out here for 15 minutes of qualifying for Group A here in the first round. Top 22 in the point standings taking place in this first round. 21 drivers will be in the second round. We've got 3 go or go homers vying for 2 positions here this week. As we look at Laura Chung in the 77 out of Auto Junction Racing. Laura Chung took a big hit in the point standings last week. She is now 21st in points coming into this one and started out the season really well, but went for a flip at Las Vegas, involved in a wreck at Pocono. And now just trying to keep herself up there in the top 20 or so to be in the first round of qualifying each week. So we got some times already coming in. James Qualls right now is the highest former points leader. James Qualls. Qualls coming into this race second in points. Lost the points lead last week at Pocono. He didn't have a horrible run, did Qualls, but he was a non-factor. There were a good dozen drivers that we didn't even really give TV time to last week, just based on the fact that they were mired back in the traffic, back in mid-pack, and could not make their way to the front. Not to say you couldn't pass there. There were a lot of drivers that were able to actually work their way up through the field. Case in point, Will Goss, I think, started next to last, and he finished up inside of the top 15. So there was the ability to be able to pass and work your way to the front, but there were a good portion of drivers, including James Qualls, who just were not able to cut their way through traffic, kind of stayed mired in the mid-pack area. So Qualls comes into this race only 6 points out of the points lead to Casey Hoyt, our winner from Manassas, and it's like he's bringing pretty good speed here in the early going. Top of the board at a 27.671, now beats that at a 6.56. So some really good lap times being laid down by the driver out of Joanna Atwood Motorsports. His teammate Quentin Moore coming out onto the track. There's Rob Evans in the 65. Rob third in the point standings after 2 top 5s to start out the season in the first 4 races. 8 points out of the points lead as well. He could leave Phoenix as the new points leader going into Indianapolis, which, by the way, is a track that the former winner is out of the Evans Motorsports stable, Zachary Fitzwater. All right, now Rob is 7th on the board, now drops to 8th at a 28.041. Michael Norman in the 22. Gained a couple of spots in the standings last week, up to 7th in overall points. Right now he's 19th on the board, though I think he's just starting to get up to speed. Yep, just jumped up to 9th place on the board at 27.890. Michael Norman, 2 top 10s to start out the year. Still looking for his first top 5. Of course, 3-time winner last season as he gave way to Will Goss in the 11 out of Young Motorsports. Right now 7th on the board for Will, 27.726. Will Goss, after 4 starts this year in his first full-time season, 14th in overall points, though he is still looking for his first top 10. As mentioned, though, he started back in the final row at Pocono and brought it home, I believe it was in 12th place last week. He did a great job of working his way up through the field at a track that, for a lot of drivers, was very difficult to pass. Will Goss also comes into this race tied for 2nd in the rookie points with Connor Breton, only 3 points out of the points lead, currently held by Casey Hoyt. And Will just jumped to 3rd at a 27.593. Cole Deaver right now 4th on the board, 27.579, the lap he just laid down to put him currently inside of the top 5. Cole Deaver 4th in overall points, 3 top 10s in the first 4 starts. He and Casey Hoyt are the only 2 drivers that have finished in the top 10 3 times this season. Cole Deaver, though, is still looking for his first top 5, but average finishing position to start the year of 12.75. That is head and shoulders above what his average finish was last season. Still a long regular season left to go, but looking very good here in the early portion of the year. Reese Banks, we saw him late in last week's race at Pocono, up inside of the top 10. Right now he's 21st on the board. Reese Banks is 6th in overall point standings. Having a great second year at Lake Effect Autosport. Back in the GM Goodwrench colors again this week. Right now, though, he is next to last on the board. As a matter of fact, both of the, well, 2 I should say, of the Lake Effect Autosports Fords are at the bottom of the running order. Banks in 21st and Jesse Turner in 22nd. Dylan Poteet right now in a transfer position to the final round of qualifying as he sits 4th, 27.462. Currently nets him that spot. Dylan Poteet did actually have a hard, what's the word I'm looking for? He had a, well, I'm going unprofessional. This is a stupid way of saying it, but not so good race last week at Pocono. He dropped 9 spots in the standings, 13th in overall points. That's after he started out the year with back-to-back top 10 finishes in both the Daytona 500 and at Manassas. But he's looking to get back into the swing of things, get himself back up into the top 10 in overall points. Behind him, Austin LaPlante, right now the driver on the hot seat. He is 5th quickest here in Phoenix. 27.512 is what everybody else is gunning for to try and beat. Austin LaPlante, another driver much like Poteet who struggled last week. Austin is 18th in points coming into this one. I want to find him real quickly here because Matthew Rodriguez is back behind the wheel of the number 80 out of Haas Racing. Now remember, last couple of weeks he has been attempting to qualify in the 17 out of Bishop Family Racing. That car is currently under a different driver this week, that being Mike Tellier. So Rodriguez back over in the Camry, and this may be a blessing in disguise for Matthew Rodriguez because he's been 0 for 2 in trying to qualify in the Mustang at Las Vegas and Pocono, but at Daytona and Manassas, when he drove this race car, he ended up not only qualifying into the show, but winning at Daytona and finishing 3rd the following week. Right now, he is 3rd on the board at a 27.459. He's been in Group A ever since winning the Daytona 500 in qualifying for each of the first rounds. He's kind of been the benchmark driver, set the lap, and he's been topped in the last 2 weeks. So we'll see if he's going to be able. I would think that if he's up inside the Fast 5 here in this round, that he probably is a lock-in, but it's not guaranteed. That's the funny part about it. It is not 100% that he would be racing tomorrow night. We will have to wait and see. Jesse Turner has since picked up his lap times. Since we last checked, he was dead last. Now he's up to 10th, 27.592. He actually just ran that lap. So getting some late speed out of that car, and he just bettered it by 1,000th, now in a 5.91. Doesn't look like they've quite got the handle on the 24 of Reggie Fogelman. He's right now 18th on the board. Made an adjustment, sent him back out there with a little more than 5.5 minutes remaining. Charles Sanford just ran his fastest lap, but he is 19th on the board right now, the defending champion. Let's see if maybe running a little bit behind the 24, if that improves his lap time this time around. No, he was about 8/100 slower than his fastest lap. So Charles Sanford not finding the speed, at least here tonight. Charles Sanford last week qualified on the pole for Pocono, but was involved in a wreck on the very first lap. Despite all of that, he was able to run up inside of the top 10, and he was actually at one point battling inside of the top 5. He faded back late, but Sanford comes into this one 20th in overall points. James Qualls right now 3rd on the board. He just, believe, got knocked to the 3rd position courtesy of Michael Norman, who's jumped up to the top of the speed chart. As we look at Anthony McCrory, Anthony with one of Mazda's best finishes last week. He's been actually on a bit of a momentum streak as of late. He had a good run at Las Vegas, also finished inside the top 10 there. He jumped up 7 spots in the standings last week after finishing inside the top 10. He is now 15th in overall points. So, still early to say, but as of right now, compared to other years, this might be a career year for Anthony McCrory. That swap over to the Mazda manufacturer might have been the difference maker. As we look at Quentin Moore, 2nd full-time season for Joanna Atwood Motorsports. He's right now 2nd on the charts, just in front of his teammate James Qualls. Right now, Matthew Rodriguez holding on to 4th, and Dylan Poteet currently in the 5th position with 3.5 minutes left to go. Cody Lamas has been fast and qualified in the last couple of weeks. Right now, though, he is 14th on the board. He just came off of pit road. Small adjustment made. We'll see if he can pick up some speed here late in this session. Cody Lamas, though, is 17th in overall points. Jumped up 9 spots in the standings after last week. Now, there's one driver in particular I'm trying to find. I haven't seen him come out here yet. We'll see if we can find him. There's RJ Bishop. Hometown race for him here at the Phoenix International Raceway. Right now, though, not a whole lot of speed out of the Arizona Cardinals, Arizona Diamondbacks Ford GT500. He's 21st on the board right now, so doesn't look like he's in line for good starting track position. There's the driver I was looking for. Last week's winner from Pocono finally ends what was about a 3.5. Oh, we got a wreck! Oh my gosh! Oh, and they're gonna still pile in. That's Rodriguez, Qualls, Destin Bolin, Will Goss. Dylan Poteet just had his fender ripped off. Michael Norman. Cody Lamas, I think, well, he is under power. I thought he might not be under power. He was getting pushed by Michael Norman. Now, that is not good because that means a lot of these drivers here are going to be going to backup cars. However, as we documented this back at Daytona, or not Daytona, at Manassas, for the remainder of the season, if a driver is involved in an incident in qualifying, they get to use their backup car in the next round if they move on. They do not forfeit their starting position. But if they end up wrecking that backup car, then they would end up starting at the rear of the field. But going back to Levi McIntyre, it was back in Season 3, the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte. That was his last victory. It was not the last time the 99 went to victory lane. That was with Andrea Serra back in Season 5. But Levi McIntyre snapping the winless streak and jumping up 16 spots in the standings after his dominating performance last week. He is 5th in overall points. I think Season 2 might have been the last year that Levi McIntyre made the playoffs. I can't remember if he made the playoffs in Season 3 or not. But even if he did, that's still 3.5 seasons since he made a playoff appearance. So, well done to him. Just up ahead of him is Casey Hoyt. Right now, McIntyre, failed to mention, he is 17th on the board. 12th on the board is Casey Hoyt. First career win at Manassas. And points leader coming into this race. 6 points over Qualls, 8 points over Rob Evans. As a matter of fact, this 74 has gone to victory lane in the past year at Phoenix. It was Bradley Ream who picked up the victory here back in Season 5. It was a 1-2 finish, actually, for Lake Effect Autosports in that race. Stephen Colin actually brought it home behind him in the 47 in second place. So we'll see if the 74 can get its second win at Phoenix in Duracell Next Gen Cup Series competition. Well, nothing has changed amongst the top 5. Norman, Moore, Qualls, Rodriguez, and Poteet. Currently the Fast 5, and I'm not sure anything is going to change beyond that. There you see they've pushed the backup car from Michael Norman out onto pit road. I believe at least 4 of our Fast 5 are going to be in backup cars for the final round of qualifying. Norman, Qualls, Rodriguez, and Poteet, I'm pretty sure, were all collected up in that wreck on the back straightaway. As the red flag is out, session should be drawing to a close. We'll keep our focus on Dylan Poteet here just for the moment. See if his positioning changes from 5th. We'll see if they even are continuing to score them as they cross the line here. No, scoring has ceased. So we're just waiting for the calculations to be done and have our first group of round 1's qualifying be complete. Just missing out on the next round, Austin LaPlante, Cole Deaver, Destin Bolin. And we'll take a look at those drivers here right now as we'll take a look at the qualifying results. Your top 5 moving on to the final round of qualifying to run for the pole position. The rest of the drivers going to make up the respective inside lines for the starting lineup tomorrow. Matthew Rodriguez, the only go-homer in this round, 27.459. Now, as things stand right now, he is in line to run for the pole position. But if the 2 go-home drivers that we have coming up here in the second round, or the second group of the first round of qualifying, if they end up beating that lap time, then Rodriguez is out, and that would mean that Austin LaPlante would actually move into the Fast 5 to compete for the pole position. So bear that in mind as we prepare for Group B to head out onto the racetrack. But before they do that, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back here to continue on qualifying here tonight at Phoenix International. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. All right, getting ready for Group B to head out onto the racetrack here. 21 drivers in this group. And again, we'll be keeping an eye on our 2 go-homers as they'll look to best the lap time laid down by Matthew Rodriguez, 27.459. Dylan Young wasting no time in the Wawa Ford Mustang to get out onto the racetrack. Dylan Young, 30th in points coming into this one. Caught up in a late wreck at Pocono, was never able to recover, and by the end of the qualifying period actually finished behind the wall. It's been an interesting season so far for Young Motorsports. Last year, They ended up having a 2-time winner in R.J. Bishop, a 3-time winner in Destin Bolin. They were looking like a very strong team, even though Dylan Young went winless that season. This year, though, you've got Will Goss and R.J. Bishop up inside the top 15 in points. Destin Bolin up in the top 10 in points, and then Dylan Young, the outlier once again. I don't know what it is that's going on with Dylan Young, but the last couple of seasons, his drivers have been outshining him, and Dylan Young is a very talented driver. I just wonder if maybe the focus is more on the managerial side than it is the driver's side. I don't know what's going on, but another thing about Dylan Young is once he finds his stride, once he finds a streak of momentum, he is very difficult to stop. So we'll see if maybe he can start things off here at Phoenix after he just got around the 28 of Caleb Fogler. Lap time starting to stream in. And one of the drivers up near the top, making his second, well, attempting to make his second start on the year, Mike Tellier. We saw him back trying to qualify and successfully making the Daytona 500, and then followed it up with a top 5 finish in the Great American Race. As a matter of fact, Mike Tellier, that finish was so good that he is running higher in points, overall points, than Matt McIntyre, Nick Gunther, and Kyle Matthews. 3 drivers who have taken every green flag so far this season. And those 3 drivers I mentioned, they're going to be here in the second round of qualifying. Mike Tellier, one of the 2 drivers that are looking to best Matthew Rodriguez's lap time. If neither are able to, then it is the highest, or the highest qualifier of the 2 of them here in Group B that will get the final transfer position. It's Mike Tellier versus Kyler Sustre. Kyler Sustre, of course, the last couple of weeks has been able to make the show. Right now he sits second on the board. He got the victory at Las Vegas. Had the engine failure last week at Pocono, though, so that certainly hurt him. 37th in overall points, so his win would not count towards a wild card spot in the playoffs. But he just ran a 27.590. So unless he and Telly are able to get up into the 4s, Rodriguez would be safe, and it looks like it would be between the 4 and the 17 as to who's going to be the other go-homer to make it into the field. Kyle Matthews in the 09, mentioned he's one of those 3 drivers that's still behind Mike Tellier in overall points. Kyle Matthews, an average finish of 34.25. Former champion, former playoff contender from last year. This has not been a good start to the season for him, but the good news is the season is still young. Carson Gumm in the 19, 26th in overall points. He was kind of one of those drivers, like I said back in round 1 when I was talking about James Qualls. He was just mired in mid-pack last week at Pocono. We didn't talk about him. He didn't get involved in a wreck. He didn't have a horrible day. He just had a very uneventful day. Just wasn't able to move forward. Jessica Shelton, the Project Dodge Intrepid of S3 Motorsports. She's 34th in points coming into this one. S3 Motorsports has got really good numbers when it comes to Phoenix. I'm trying to remember, but we'll have the stats for you tomorrow, but I believe that Shelton, Deaver, and Matthews, I think those are the 3 that are all former winners here at Phoenix. I can't remember if Sanford's got one or not. I think maybe Sanford has one too. Maybe all 4 of the S3 Motorsports drivers have won here at Phoenix. I have to go back and I'll have to look. I'll have to check on that, but it seems like I remember all 4 of them picking up a victory here. I mean, S3 Motorsports has been very dominant at Phoenix International, so we'll see. We'll see if it continues tomorrow. Right now, Kyler Sustre is top of the board at a 27.441. Looking to make his 3rd straight start. They have had really fast race cars when it comes to qualifying. So Mitchell Collins right now is in the 4th position, and his teammate just went to the top of the board, Nathan Ormond. Ormond at a 27.418. So here is the situation, though, with Kyler Sestre running the lap time that he did. His 4.41 is higher than Matthew Rodriguez's 4.59. So now it is Rodriguez versus Mike Tellier for the final transfer spot. Mike Tellier currently at a 27.850 for his fastest lap, but if he's able to run a 4.58 or higher, then Mike Tellier is into the show and Matthew Rodriguez misses out for the 3rd straight week. Caleb Fogler just on the outside looking in. He's 6th place on the board right now at a 27.516. That is about 600ths off of 5th place, which is right now being held by the former champion Chris Dollerton. Matt Haas, former winner last year, gained some spots in the standings last week at Pocono. He's 28th in overall points, so hoping that he can continue to trend upward. Got the M&M's colors here this week. Zach Rogers almost picked up that victory last week. It was he and Levi McIntyre in the last couple of restarts, but Rogers got shuffled back late. I don't believe, even finish inside of the top 10, but he finished high. He finished high in the running order, which was very important for that team. It gained him 7 spots and has him 36th in overall points. So that was a big run for Zach Rogers, kind of a breakout race here this season, if you will. Matt McIntyre, Joshua Osborne, Mike Tellier all grouped here together. We documented about Matt McIntyre. 4 starts this year, average finishing position of just over 33rd, 41st in overall points. He's in Arizona. Well, he hails from the Indiana area, but he spent a number of years living in Arizona, so we could consider this a home track for him. We'll also consider next week a home track for him when we head to the Yard of Bricks at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Actually, no, that's in 2 weeks' time. My apologies. We're going North Wilkesboro next week, and then it's Indianapolis. Right now, Matt McIntyre is 17th on the board of 21 drivers. Joshua Osborne in the top 10 right now in 9th. Osborne had a fast car last week at Pocono. He also had a fast car at Las Vegas. Started on the pole position in that one. Mike Tellier right now 8th on the board. That is not enough for him to make it into the show, as his fastest lap currently 27.550. He's got to find himself another 10th if he's going to knock out Matthew Rodriguez. Kyler Sestre is safe. He is the highest of the 3 go-home drivers in terms of lap time. So it is now between the 17 and the 80. There's Dollerton and the Whataburger Ford Mustang. Chris Dollerton coming into this race 32nd in overall points. He's holding the 5th transfer spot, the final transfer spot into the next round. 27.459 is what he's hoping is going to get him into the final round of qualifying to compete for the pole position. Interesting when you look at terms of lap times. Lap times are somewhat similar between Group A and Group B. Michael Norman overall has the fastest lap at a 27.391, but Ormond, the fastest in this session, at a 27.418. So he's only about 200ths off of Norman's lap. And the lap time right now that Chris Dollerton has that has him 5th is the exact identical lap time that Matthew Rodriguez ran that had him 4th in Group A. So things are very, very close amongst our Fast 5 from Group A and our current Fast 5 from Group B. But still 4 minutes left, so this is not over yet. Ryan Brommer in the 87. It's been a very interesting start to the year for Auto Junction Racing. Ryan Brommer, 25th in overall points. Ryan Butcher, 33rd in overall points. And Laura Chung, that we saw back in the first round, 21st in overall points. Only one top 10 amongst those three drivers combined in the first four races. And we've talked about how Auto Junction Racing, last couple of seasons, they have been a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs. They had a 50% chance of winning the championship back in Season 5. Last season, you had Laura Chung and Ryan Butcher both make it into the playoffs. I mean, the season's still young, but this is not the start I expected that organization to get off to. Same could be said for this guy, Jose Mills. Most winningest driver in the Duracell Cup Series. Now, last year, he was very non-factor as well. Did not find victory lane. He did manage to find some consistency late in the year, and I think he finished second or third highest in points that were not in the playoffs. He was either 18th or 19th, I think, in the final point standings. But we really didn't talk a lot about him last year, and this year, kind of the same. 31st in overall points, an average finishing position in the first four races of 26th. He's 11th on the board right now here in qualifying, but I don't know. I really don't know. Jose Mills, I really expected we were going to see a lot more out of him last year and this year, and we've not seen it yet. His teammate Caleb Fogler has now caught Ryan Brommer. He might get a good draft lap here, although he is kind of pushing Ryan Brommer through 3 and 4. 7th on the board right now for the former champ Caleb Fogler, and I doubt the lap time's going to improve because he was like right behind him, yeah. But Dollerton just got knocked out. Dollerton just got knocked out of the top 5. Who did he get knocked out by? Daniel Voiles, who's moved up to 4th, and Jessica Shelton is top of the board. She got a huge toe off of Dollerton. Just ran her fastest lap. Ooh, makes a little contact there. 27.348. That's the fastest lap of the night so far. That now puts Mitchell Collins in the 5th position. And there is Voiles now up into the 4th spot. That's why I said back around the 4-minute mark, still a ways to go. Anything can happen. So now Shelton, Orman, Kyler Sustre, Daniel Voiles, and Mitchell Collins are the Fast 5 as things currently stand. That is 3 Fords, 1 Chevy, and 1 Dodge. Update on Mike Tellier, 9th right now, but has not improved on the 27.550. So Sustre and Rodriguez, unless something happens in the next 30 seconds, look like they will be the two that will advance. The two former winners of the non-charter drivers. Rodriguez with the Daytona victory and Sustre with the Las Vegas victory. They'll both be looking for their second wins on the season tomorrow night. Joe Collins drafting up to Zach Rogers here through 1 and 2. I don't know if he's going to be able to maybe run a better lap time here to secure himself a spot in the final 5, even though right now he holds the 5th position. Big run there through 3 and 4. Does he have to feather the throttle off the corner, though? He might have to. Ah, man. I don't know. He had to yank the wheel there to the left as well. Yeah, slower. You may also have noticed we're running the old configuration of Phoenix. We're not running ISM. Just me personally, not a fan of the configuration for NR Offline. It's also our first, our first night race of the season. At least for the Cup side, the Duracell Ultra Light Series drivers ran a night race at Daytona. But nothing changing here as the red flag is out. Your Fast 5 look like they are going to be locked in. It's Jessica Shelton, top of the board. Nathan Orman going to clock in second. Kyler Sustre, he will make the show for the third straight week as he'll bring it home third. And then Daniel Voiles and Mitchell Collins will also move on to the Fast Five to run for the pole position. So I believe that is 4 Fords, 4 Chevrolets, 1 Toyota, and 1 Dodge that are going to be duking it out for the pole position. So don't go anywhere. We are going to, in just a moment, have those 10 drivers head out onto the racetrack for the final 5 minutes and see who's going to claim the pole position for tomorrow night's race here at Phoenix International Raceway. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. 5 minutes on the clock and the final round of qualifying here tonight at the Phoenix International Raceway begins. 9 of these drivers looking for their first pole of the season. Nathan Orman looking to be the first repeat pole sitter on the year. Of course, he started on the inside of the front row for the Great American Race Daytona 500 to start out the season. Michael Norman was the fastest in Group A. Jessica Shelton, the fastest in Group B. And both of the drivers that were the go-or-go-homers to lock themselves into the field advanced in their respective groups. Matthew Rodriguez was 4th fastest in Group A, and Kyler Sustre was 3rd fastest in Group B. So Mike Tellier officially the driver that will not be qualifying for the show. Kyler Sustre heading out onto the track in the 4 car. Only get 5 minutes here in this session. Not a lot of time to be able to put down a lap. We saw last week at Pocono, the following week, or the previous week at Las Vegas. Kind of comes down to track positioning, being able to get that draft lap to be able to qualify anywhere close to the front. At least you know you've got the guarantee of starting this race from inside of the top 10. Remember, too, that we documented the wreck back in Group A of Round 1. Michael Norman, James Qualls, Matthew Rodriguez, and Dylan Poteet all going to be going out in backup cars. They've had a little bit of time to be able to do some minor adjustments on those race cars in preparation for this final round, but how will that affect the speed they have now as opposed to what they had back in Round 1? Kyler Sustre clocking in at a 28.583. He'll look to get a little bit of a draft there off of Nathan Ormond on the dogleg back straightaway. His lap time already has been topped by Dylan Poteet at a 28.472. Sustre answers back, 28.163 for the Yamaha Chevrolet. Nathan Orman still yet to put down his first official lap time. Matthew Rodriguez, the same for him. Quentin Moore, 3rd on the board, now drops to 4th, 28.6. Dylan Poteet into the 27s, 27.945. Obviously, with a lot less cars out there, I don't think we'll have anybody getting into the 27.3 bracket that Norman and Shelton were able to. Maybe a 27.5, 27.6 is what will put you on the pole position. Poteet just ran a 27.699. Just barely a sub 27.7. Looks like right now it's between him and Kyler Sustre for the fastest lap. Let's see if Sustre answers back. 27.804, so not quite to Dylan Poteet's 6. Poteet betters 6.34, continuing to chip a little bit lower. Just waiting for somebody to come in with that one big lap. Right now, Michael Norman is 3rd on the board. Mitchell Collins, Daniel Voiles right there, but it's Chevrolets at the top. The battle between Kyler Sustre and Dylan Poteet. Remember, this is a backup car for the 31. Bringing a lot of speed here. 27.5 for Dylan Poteet. A 5.56. Michael Norman, though, just jumped up to second on the board. Might be getting a little toe off of James Qualls. 5.17 for Norman, top of the board. Well, Michael Norman was top of the board in his group in round 1. Trying to start from the pole position for the first time this season is the driver of the 22. Looking for Michael Norman Motorsports' second pole on the year. Let's see if he raises the bar even higher here, and he does. 27.463 for Michael Norman. James Qualls up ahead is now going to be currently on the outside of the front row. 27.535, his fastest lap. I don't think he's even getting a toe off of somebody. That's just raw speed. Michael Norman, I think, is getting a little draft off the 70, which is aiding his lap time. Oh my gosh! James Qualls just ran a 5.16. That might secure the second position for him, as session's already closing. I think you're looking at your front row right there, the 22 and the 70. That gives Qualls a little bit of a cushion, about 4/100ths over Poteet, what was about 100th and a half before. And scoring has ceased. Michael Norman, the Pizza Hut Ford Mustang, is going to be the one to lead us to green tomorrow night, and James Qualls will join him on the outside of the front row. A couple of drivers up inside the top 10 in the point standings. Qualls second in points, Norman 7th in points. And they are going to have good starting track position for tomorrow night's 5th race of the season. Dylan Poteet's going to be 3rd. Matthew Rodriguez and Kyler Sustre. They're going to be eyeing each other kitty corner, with Rodriguez on the outside of row 2 and Sustre on the inside of row 3. The two non-charter former winners on the season. Nathan Ormond will complete the 3rd row. Quentin Moore, Mitchell Collins will be back in row 4, with Daniel Voiles and Jessica Shelton completing the top 10 for tomorrow's starting lineup. So Michael Norman, his first pole position on the season. Congratulations to him. We'll wait and see if track position is going to be a key factor in the outcome of tomorrow night's race. But thank you all for tuning into this qualifying session. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to Part of the Crew today, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night as we get ready to go green here in the desert at the Phoenix International Raceway. Until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.